Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Beauty in the Bush. My name is Adrienne Lee. I am your host, and today's episode is a very, very fun one. I sat down and chatted with a couple of my friends. You are about to meet Brooke and Whitney, and if you guys are listening on Spotify, I would recommend pulling up the YouTube version. I'll link it in the show notes below, but it's just so much better to watch this interview. It's not even an interview. We're just chatting in my living room, but my cat is hanging out with us. We give a couple examples that are like much easier to understand when you are viewing. So I would recommend popping on over to YouTube. While you're there, please subscribe, like the video, and comment your favorite part. We go all over the place in this episode, and actually it's a two-parter, so you're gonna hear from us again next week. With that in mind, we do end this episode quite abruptly, so look forward to next week when we finish our conversation. And let's see, what do we talk about? We go through our entrepreneurial journeys. We talk about our whys. And the whole essence of this episode is Instagram versus reality when running a business. Like how glamorized it looks online and just how real and challenging it is in real life. So we talk about it all. I have all my notes here. I wrote down so many little tidbits that I'll put down in the show notes, but also I'm going to be teasing them on our Instagrams. So if you are not following us on Instagram, I will link all of our pages down below so you can connect with all of us. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on into that episode. Welcome to Beauty in the Bush. This podcast is for estheticians who want to take their career into their own hands and become esthetpreneurs like me. I'm Adrienne Lee, aka the Esthetpreneur over on Instagram, and I love helping estheticians step into their CEO energy, implement systems and processes within their business, and utilize the power of social media to build and make impact within their business. If that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, keep on listening. Okay, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
I am joined by Miss Brooke and Whitney. Would you like to do a little intro?
Let's go.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's go first.
Who's going first? So thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
For being here.
So my name is Brooke, and I'm a branding and web designer. And recently moved to Dallas and got to meet these two beautiful ladies at a conference earlier, or at the end of 2023. And yeah, it's been fun. It's fun to have people that are not even necessarily in your same industry, but just like entrepreneurs with you to get to know. So excited to be here.
Yay! Thank you so much for being here.
And I'm Whitney. Also, if you've been around, if you're watching the Bush, you've probably seen me because we're around. We're basically neighbors.
Yeah.
And so I'm a hairstylist and salon owner, and I also help other salon owners build better teams. So I'm excited to be here as well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
just
for
a good
being
girl
here.
gang, and
Yes.
we were at coffee, just catching up, and we were like, this conversation is so gold. We need to share it with the world. So. We're not going to have the same exact conversation.
Because we
but
can't remember
Yeah.
it. We don't know what we were talking about.
We don't. But we do know that we have a lot to say about entrepreneurship. And so we're thinking for today, our topic is going to be...
Oh, me.
Your podcast.
Yes. Okay. So Brooke's idea, right? Was it your idea?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Instagram versus reality of owning your own business, because you guys know everything is glamorized on the internet, and shit is just not like that. Honestly, it's just not ever like that. So I think let's give a little background in our entrepreneurial journeys too, just so people know kind of like how I'm doing this.
Yeah, and I think actually that's kind of one of the reasons I love this conversation, because even in my own story, I feel like Instagram versus reality is really prevalent because it looks like things happen really fast, and I'm like, no, if only you knew. So my background, I mean, how far back do we want to go?
I guess, like, when did entrepreneurship become
a
thing in your life?
So, for it to all make sense, I'll bring you back to college. My degree is actually in public relations. Not doing public relations, but my degree's in PR, and I remember my senior year, I was, like, up until 3 in the morning working on a project, as, you know, you do. And these two girls came across Facebook at the time, and they called themselves the Bucket List Bombshells, I think. Like, I don't necessarily follow them anymore. I'm sure they're great. I know. I wonder what they're up to if you're out there.
Yeah.
But one of them was a social media manager, and the other was, I think, a copywriter. And they literally just traveled the world and worked from their laptops. And I was like, wow, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that. And no one in my family is an entrepreneur. Now, yes, but like at that time, no. Mm-hmm. My parents both have very good but like practical jobs. And so I was like, I want to do that, but like I don't know what I could do, and like how could that ever be me? And so, you know, moved on with my life. My senior year, I took 2 design classes. Fell absolutely in love with design, but I was like, I am not starting over. In my, like, I graduate next semester. It is what it is. Like, I'm a PR major. It is what it is. So I continued to self-teach myself that. After I graduated, did freelance jobs here and there, moved to New York City, continued to freelance in a bunch of different industries. I'm very multi-passionate. I did makeup artistry for a long time. I did fitness for a while. Like, I've kind of done it all. The whole time still knowing I want to work for myself. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Still dabbling in design. And I never really took it seriously as a business, though, because I was like, how can I make a living off of this? I'm charging $200 for a logo. And, like, if you know, like, you're not going to live off of that. So, like, we've learned and we've priced it up. It's a lot of logos. So I was like, no. So I did the corporate job thing, and I, you know, went through my journey, and what happened was I just kept finding myself very unhappy in every experience I had. And at my last corporate job, I just had this wake-up call moment where I was like, you know what, like, I'm the only common denominator here, and all of the shitty things that happened to me, like, they were all very valid, and I had my very valid reasons for hating the situations I was in, but I was like, you are the common denominator, Brooke. Like, you are the only person that's going to get you out of this, so it's going to be up to you to make a different action to get a different result. So I started to, like, find this entrepreneur space on TikTok at the time.
Oh. So
because
what year is this?
This is 2020.
Okay.
Like, we're also mid-COVID, mid-pandemic. Like, my husband got furloughed. I'm grateful that I didn't. I was still working at my corporate job, but because of that, I was working my position and multiple other positions, and I was burnt out and overworked and overtired, and loved my husband, but he was making more money than me on unemployment, and I was working a million hours a week to cover all these things, and I was like, something's got to give. Yeah. So the thing that I did differently from all of the years before where I was freelancing is I went online and I found this community of entrepreneurs, and I was like, oh.
It, like, unlocked something.
It unlocked something. I was like, there's, like, all these people trying to do this. Because, yes, I had found, and, like, that I saw, like, looking back, the universe tried to put that in front of me my senior year when I found these Bucket List Bombshells. Aww. And I remember buying a course from them at some point in those years of freelancing, but, like, it never stuck. So I found this community, and I was like, oh. And that is literally when everything changed. So at the end of 2020 is when I, like, deep dove, and I was like, I'm going to do it. So I started posting online. I joined this mentorship that, like, I could not afford at the time, but I was like, I know how to design at this point, but I don't know how to run a business. How do you start a business? How do you get clients? How do you keep your books? How do you do workflows? Like, I don't know. Yeah. So I found a mentorship. I joined the mentorship, and it started February 2021. Okay. And I was able to quit my job by April of 2021, like April 30th.
Wow.
So
that's a quick turnaround. Instagram
versus reality, it looks like my journey was 2 months when I'm like, no, I was doing freelance for years. There's so many years worth of work that I put in to it before that quitting moment came. But on the surface level, my story looks very quick.
Yeah.
And I want to know, how much was the mentorship?
It was only like $5,000. But to me at that time, living in New York City, shoebox apartment, my husband was furloughed, like, my salary was like not that great. Like, it was more than we had to spend extra.
But I think it's important for the audience to know, like, it
takes money.
Yeah.
To make money.
Yes, and to invest. Like, that's a pretty hefty investment. I remember one of my first courses I bought was $3,000, and my husband was like,
what are you doing?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, like, we all know college costs, like, anywhere between 40, 60, 80, I mean, tens of thousands of dollars. And so I think it's important for people to know it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You don't just figure, I mean, yes,
you don't just fall into this, and you don't just get lucky, and you don't just, like, have a knack for it. Maybe some people do, and, like, that's amazing.
Yeah, and
good
somebody
for you.
told me recently that the longer your path to success is, the more chances of you falling off. Because
I believe that.
And so by you getting a mentor, by you getting a course, by you getting a coach, those things shorten your path to success, which means that you might reach it quicker, which means you're less chances of, like, hitting a roadblock and falling off.
Yeah.
And I had been doing freelance on the side for years. Now, was I taking it as seriously? No, but that's the key. That's the point. Like, when I was like, okay, like, I'm going to spend this money, and luckily, like, my husband is very supportive, and he was like, okay, like, if you say so. But I, like, have never shown up to something so hardcore.
Because you're so invested.
Because I invested. I was like, I have to put my mouth where my money is at this point, like, flipping that saying, because I was like, this can't be a sunk investment. This can't be something that I buy, because, like, all of the things I had bought in the years leading up, again, I had bought that course from those girls that I had found in college at some point in that 5-year stint, and I think their course was like $600, which I love because it was really accessible, and also $600 was still a lot of money to me at that time, but it wasn't so much that it made me do it. I never finished it. Like, I still couldn't tell you, and, like, no shade to that course, I'm sure it's amazing, but I never finished it. But when I spent grands, I was
sometimes it takes a hefty investment.
Gotta do this.
Yeah. Like,
we gotta do this.
Get the shit rolling.
Yes.
Put the fire under your ass.
Put the fire under your ass. Help you show up.
Yeah.
And truthfully, like, I have not been showing up to the investment that I made.
I feel like you have.
Okay, well, I feel like I need to be like,
we could do more for sure.
Go.
I feel like,
but that's how
everyone
it's
can always
gonna
do
be,
more.
right?
I think like, even knowing you from October to knowing you now, you're a different business owner.
Oh, thank you.
So give yourself grace.
I'm a different person.
Yes, yes. Period.
She had a death and she was reborn.
Yes. Before we get into me, I did want to call something about your story because I think it's intriguing.
Okay.
When you were, like, in your mindset shift and you're like, you talked to yourself and you said, Brooke, you're the only common denominator.
Ooh, yeah.
And I think that's important to point out because sometimes we get so stuck in looking at our lives this way that you have to pull yourself out and talk to yourself like you're a different person for it to be, like, so serious.
Yeah. So this isn't going to make sense for anyone just listening to the podcast, but if you're watching, when you, like, looking at your life and experiencing your life, it's kind of like, and then kind of shifting to the outside perspective experience, it's kind of like you trying to look at the palm of your hand, but it's right here. And you're like, I can't see anything. What are you talking about? But you can straight up look at my hand right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. Sometimes you have to, like, out of body, take yourself out of the situation and look at it from a third-party perspective.
And I think that's that self-awareness. Being self-aware, getting yourself removed, and being able to look at the situation overhead instead of, like,
And also, like, we can see your hand, right? But also being able to recognize it yourself and not getting advice from every corner, talking to others,
100%.
but not like, oh, so-and-so said this. Do you want so-and-so's life? Because if you don't want their life, don't listen to them.
That is the best piece of entrepreneurship advice you will ever get. Like, don't take advice from someone you wouldn't trade lives with to some capacity, you know?
For sure. So, wanted to mention that because I thought that was, like, gold, and we kind of just grazed over that.
Thank you.
So I really never wanted to be an entrepreneur, which is hilarious. Like, I got my cosmetology license in high school, and I thought that I was just going to do hair to go through college and get my real job. And
what was that going to be?
Yeah.
I can't imagine you as anything.
I know,
like, I think I was going to go to school
creative?
for business.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I was like, I don't know. Like, I just was doing what I was being told to do. Like, I remember, like, feeling really, like, ashamed and not good enough that, like, all the kids in school, they would put where they got accepted to college up on the walls, like, in the hallways, and I'm like, I applied to get accepted just, like, to prove people, like, I can get accepted, because everybody got a t-shirt, accepted.
Oh.
And so I was like, I want to get the t-shirt and like I want to feel like I'm good
Part
enough.
of the club.
Yeah, but like also so then and like so did that, and so I got a job at a salon. I was working there, and I was like, well, college is so important to me. What did I know? And went to college 2 days a week and worked behind the chair 3 days a week, and I did that for 2 years. And then I realized that the person teaching me business in college never owned a business, and I was making more than him as a 19-year-old doing hair. So I was like, oh, this is backwards. Like, I'm not, no. So
the math ain't mathin'.
Yeah, it's like,
oh my gosh.
I was like, this is, no. And so that's when I really started to fall in love with the career. From everybody telling me that I couldn't be successful doing hair, and then my first mentor, she was 23 making 6 figures, and I was like, oh shit, like if she can do it, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started getting really passionate, really competitive, and then I was able to do $165,000 on a W-2 as a 21-year-old, and I was like, oh, I gotta tell everybody.
That's amazing.
Like, I have to tell everybody, like, you can do hair. I worked 4 days a week. I loved what I did. I made people feel pretty. I was like their rock star. They come in and they'd be like, oh my God, Whitney, do whatever you want. Like, and so then it's like you make them feel pretty and you're making great money. It's flexible. Like, it was just like an all-around win. And I loved it. I didn't have any responsibility. I came in, I did my work, I did social media somewhat, and like went home and I was making like 6K paychecks. Like,
amazing.
Was like, this is the life. Like, that's what I want to do. So the salon environment I was in was just really toxic, not great for me. And the leadership wasn't taking much advice. I was like, please make it better. And she was like, she's like, it's only at the top, and donkeys are my donkeys and thoroughbreds are my thoroughbreds. And I was like, okay, well, it's time for me to go run with the thoroughbreds, okay? And
What the fuck?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I was like, I gotta go with
Talks
Thank
like
you
that.
next.
Yeah.
Did she actually say
No,
that?
she word for word. Yeah.
There's some quotes you never forget in your
Yeah,
life.
Yeah. I was like,
Damn.
I said, well, you hired a bunch of donkeys.
Yeah.
And
I'm out of here.
I gotta go. So,
Oh,
so
no.
I interviewed at other commission salon jobs. Like, I really still wanted to work for somebody.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, I was like, I like this gig. Like, I want to keep doing this. I just need a better salon. And I interviewed at several commission salons, and there just wasn't one that like felt like an up move, like a move
Yeah.
up. So I was like, okay, like that's not working. And my friend had, she went into booth rental, and she was like, just come to this like suite with me in downtown Fort Worth. I was like, okay, like I'll come check it out, whatever. And it was a good salon that was like kind of mixed. Like it was booth rental, but they had amenities like a front desk and towel service and things like that. So it didn't feel so daunting to like jump over to that. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll do it. I felt like if there's not the environment that I want, I'm just going to have to create it. So that's when I started over there, and I was always used to working with...
What year was that when you quit your W-2?
2019.
Okay.
Yeah, so 5 years ago.
So all of our entrepreneurial journeys kind of started at the same time.
That's
Sorry,
crazy.
What's going on in the ethers at that
Yeah.
time? I'll have to look back.
I mean, a lot.
Yeah. And so then I just had like one assistant, and then, which is Marissa, pink hair Marissa. And so she's still with me to this day. And it was like, well, I don't want you to leave me. Like, I didn't have a plan. Like, I wasn't out here to build a team. I wasn't like, didn't start like that. And I was like, well, I guess you can like hang out here, and like, I can't afford to pay you. So like, if you bring in clients and you make money, great. But like, I don't have money to like pay you hourly to sit around. Like, nothing was legit. Like, I was like Apple cashing her for her paychecks. Like, literally didn't know what the fuck I was doing at all. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess if I have her, like, and I hired another person, I was like, I should like get a CPA or like something. And like, so I'm like, started like talking to professionals and being like, okay, what do you think? And then they're like, yeah, you're not paying them legally. I was like, cool, okay, let me fix that. So like, slowly but surely, just started like tying up all of my loose ends and really like getting my shit together. And then I've just learned so much since then. And we just started with 1, and then we had 2 and 3, and now we're at 9. And so we're just building the team, and that's kind of how it got started.
Wow.
That is incredible.
So inspiring. You got a coach, though.
Right out the gate.
Early on.
Yeah. Because the salon I worked at first had a certain type of system that they followed, and I did well. Obviously, the system worked for me. I was making great money at 21 years old, so I was like, that system worked. I want to keep doing that. but you had to like hire and I hired them after I'd hired 3 people.
Okay.
So once I'd hired 3 people and I was like, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah, it's actually happening.
Mm-hmm. Like, I went to like their conference and then hired a coach and all that kind of thing. So, but I was like still, since I'd been raised in those systems, I'd like already, continued on with that. So it wasn't like a big transition, but yeah.
Your society, like your college conversation from the beginning, I feel like that could be a whole other podcast episode, definitely. Because I just feel like the topic of societal norms and what we're pushed to do is infuriating.
Again, listening to other people's advice, doing what your lives.
And
when you're 18, you just don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. You're so young. Oh my god.
Ma'am, I had to raise my hand to go pee a week ago, and now I have to decide what I'm doing for the rest of my life.
Literally.
Yeah.
Tell me, like,
how does
that
make
sense? So, like, I have grievances with that whole thing.
Yeah.
And I just, like, break the mold. Do your own thing.
Yes.
Like, go down your own path.
Listen to your inner guidance, because you know what you want to do. Go fucking do that.
Or if you don't know, go play. Explore.
Yeah. Yes.
Figure it out.
You'll find something that sparks your fire.
Mm-hmm. If I'm not finding the environment that I want to work in, I have to create my own. I feel like that was my common denominator moment, like very similar experience, and I think that's amazing. And I think like it's a good reminder to people that like if you are unhappy in a situation, there is a solution to the other side. You just have to start thinking outside of the box, because a lot of people don't get those thoughts naturally of like, oh, I can create my own environment that I love. So yeah.
And we have, and it's amazing.
It's so fun. I want to just go hang out there all the time. I do sometimes. I'm like, hey, I'm here.
No, it's like, it's been full circle, like, where it is, you just, like, be there and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is happening, and, like, I'm changing people's lives, and, like, I'm showing other hairstylists how to have wealthy careers. Like, it's just been, like, full circle, amazing. Like, that's, when I have the hard times, which we'll talk about later, because it's Instagram versus reality,
oh my God.
I do have to go back to my why, and that's my why.
Yes.
It's like, I'm changing lives, I'm making an impact, like, I'm helping these girls, and so,
yeah.
I love that.
Okay, Waylon has been staring at us.
He's our audience.
Oh my gosh, you're so cute.
Oh, are you gonna come?
He's like, okay, here I come. Okay, my turn.
What is your
crack
journey?
open my drink.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers to these conversations.
Aww. Hello, Waylon, my man. How are you?
What was your entrepreneurship journey, Waylon?
He's been with me through all of it.
Even
actually.
Waxy Taxi?
Even Waxy Taxi.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I, growing up, wanted to be a dermatologist. That was my dream. This shirt is actually kind of a representation of like why I wanted to be a dermatologist. Waylon is gonna be like purring in the microphone. Whaley boy. So growing up, I always talked about the lifestyle that I wanted to live, and my mom was always telling me, love my mom, but like she would tell me that I needed to marry somebody that had that.
Marry a rich man.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, what's the highest paying doctor? Dermatologist.
Okay.
So I wanted to be a dermatologist, not because I would make a ton of money. I struggled with acne.
Oh, cool.
Okay. I struggled with acne pretty severely, like kind of my whole life, starting very young. And so I was like, I can help people this way. I can
learn about it
and really like make an impact in people's lives and help them not struggle through what I went through.
And then also be a rich man.
And be a rich man. Because Mom, I am a rich man.
It all circles back.
And so junior year hits and I'm like, oh, it's game time. Like I gotta pick a college and I gotta go pre-med and then I gotta go med school and then I gotta go specialty school and then I gotta go residency and then 12 years later,
Literally.
and I'm sitting here as a junior, so 11 years plus kindergarten, so technically 12 years in school. And I thought to myself, can I do this for another 12 years? Like logistically, can I do
that
This is your halfway point.
It's like your whole life.
Yeah, no, literally.
It's like all you can remember.
Yeah.
So you're like, I just have to do this all over
again.
Literally.
And my entire school experience, like I'm outside of the box. I am like whimsical. I am floaty, fairy, over here, over there. I've gotten in trouble my whole life through being a social butterfly. Like I'm talking all the time. I'm telling people things. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. And that is just not how the school system wants you to be.
No, but for anyone listening, if that's how you are, maybe look into entrepreneurship because these are all perks that make you better.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Entrepreneurship is like, actually something happened today, and my new hire, it's her second or third day today, and something happened, and I was like, okay, here we go. We got to switch things up. And she goes, oh. And I was like, yeah, I mean, you wake up and you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what's going to happen as an entrepreneur. So, like, you have to be quick and, like, problem solving and all of that. Okay, so, anyway, junior year, trying to decide if I want to go down the dermatology route. And I'm like, okay, what do I really want to do? I really want to help people with their skin. I want to create a skincare line. Where is somewhere that I can do that? Like, cosmetic chemistry. Okay, so I'm looking at cosmetic chemistry.
That's so funny. I looked into cosmetic chemistry too.
And then I'm like, okay, not really like super duper smart. Like, I'm intelligent, but like, am I a chemist?
No, I took 2 weeks of chemistry, and I was like, fuck that.
So I did chemistry my whole high school career, because I thought this whole time I was going to be a doctor. So I was like, you know, taking biology and taking all the science classes.
My first day in a chemistry lab, I think I broke 12 beakers. And I was like, this really isn't my place.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just, yeah. So I was like, okay, definitely not a cosmetic chemist. But I found this degree at this fashion institute.
FITM?
Yes.
I looked into FITM.
The
LA location.
I went to FITM.
Yeah.
Wait, I did not know you went to FITM. I knew you went to school in LA. Okay.
So I went to FITM for beauty industry marketing. We had one cosmetic chemistry class, and I went with the hopes of creating a skincare line. So I'm in school, not super loving it. I had kind of similar experiences, except they were getting paid way too much and knew way too little.
Yeah.
The woman who was in our spa and wellness, the woman who was teaching our spa and wellness class, on the very first day, she comes into class and she's giving her credibility speech, right? Her credibility for teaching how to run a spa is that she goes to a lot of spas.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is a class that I actually want to know about, because this is something that I might actually want to do. And like, here we are running a spa, like I'm doing it. So that was my college education. I was not super impressed with it, but I got a marketing degree specific to the beauty industry, which is very, very valuable. But outside of school, like when I graduated, so I was working as a digital marketing coordinator for a skincare company, doing email marketing, helping with social media, helping with marketing. And I was like, I gotta be hands-on. I want to like be with clients. And so then I went to aesthetic school thinking I was gonna do facials. I got cleanser in my sister's eye, and I was like, oh, no, this is not for me. And so waxing, just like, it's quick, it's fast-paced, you can be loud, you can be here, there, everywhere. It's very like,
yeah.
So I just like fell in love with waxing. I was the only one brave enough to like do services on clients. And that was kind of like my journey to find waxing. Me not even like having been naked in front of anybody for like my whole life ever. Right. I go and get a job somewhere, and like my first 2 weeks are shadowing my mentor, and I've seen now
all of the vaginas,
like hundreds of vaginas, and I was like, okay, here we go. This is what I'm doing now, I guess. Like, I didn't even think that, like, Brazilian waxing would be what I would be doing as a waxer. Because in school, you don't learn that. Yeah. At least at my school, we didn't learn that. Yeah. Some schools don't.
Really?
Yeah, we never went. It was, like, facial, like, waxing.
Underarm, back, chest, legs.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm waxing. I'm at this studio doing Brazilian waxing. And, like, that's now my life. And kind of the same thing as your story, like, I think I've had a similar experience my whole life entering spaces, and I just am misunderstood, I think, a lot of the time. I am, like, very cheerful and bubbly and welcoming, and I think everybody is as trustworthy as me, and I'm, like, I'm just this warm little, like, I just want to be your buddy, and I think I come on too strong maybe sometimes, and that, like, pushes people away. So, like, in school, growing up, I didn't really have friends. College, I was lucky enough to find like a clique like this. It was nice. And then when I went to my first job outside of beauty school, I just was not on their wavelength. I was just not the cool girl. I was always treated like the new girl. She's right out of school, and like I remember one day I had one brow complaint, and they pulled me into a room. They didn't want to single me out, so they pulled everyone into this room, and then they made us go one by one doing each other's brows. And I'm like, I know it's about me, and I'm literally shaking. I'm so nervous, and I'm just like, this is not making me feel comfortable. And they were like, you gotta do it. And I was like, this is terrible.
It's not how you coach someone.
No, and so that's been something whenever I train someone, like, I just want to
Oh
make sure
my
that they
God.
feel confident in their skills, and I think it made me a very good trainer, but that was, like, traumatic for me. I lasted there for 2 years, and then I went on to start my own business because I was like, I can do this better. I really think that it can be different. I think clients can be treated with the utmost respect, and I think team members can also be treated very, very kindly. Like, it doesn't have to be this toxic environment, what we are used to in the beauty industry. So kind of like forced out of that. I mean, I guess I could have stayed, but I'm super impacted by my environment. I can't really stay in places that make me feel uncomfy.
You're spending 40 hours a week there. Like, it will never cease to amaze me the people who just like settle in careers and they're like, it's fine, it's just work. And I'm like, yeah, it's 40 hours of your life every week. Like, I'm gonna be happy. I don't know about you.
And I mean, like, the services that I was taught and my technique is amazing. Like, they got that down. That is one thing I'm like, y'all know what you're doing there. But the environment, and that environment's big.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, that's I have a lot of wins for my first place.
Yeah.
Like things I could definitely that I've taken with me for sure. But it was mostly environment. It was like leadership, culture, and long-term growth opportunities.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, so how do I make more money? They like do more hair, and I'm like,
So I'm
okay.
capped out when I like can't sleep anymore.
Yeah, and I'm like, and are we gonna do this for 30 years?
Yeah.
Like,
My body's already like developing carpal tunnel.
yeah. I'm like, am I gonna be like 60 behind the chair? Like, it just didn't feel like sustainable.
Yeah.
So definitely feel that.
So my first dream was a mobile waxing studio. So I started Waxy Taxi. I bought a Snap-on truck, so like equivalent to like a FedEx truck, UPS truck. We never got around to renovating it. It is now a food truck, so that's cool. We don't own it. Like, somebody else, my parents sold the truck, and they started like a Thai food place in Montana, so that's cute.
I love that. Do you go back and visit it every once in a while?
No, but I should. Next time I'm up there, I should definitely go get some Thai food. And so, yeah, I did
What
Waxy
year was
Taxi. I started Waxy Taxi January 1st of 2020.
Okay.
Oh wow.
We very synchronistic
That's
timelines
so
here.
crazy because but you didn't know the pandemic was happening in January.
Oh, yeah.
And
So 3 months in, I got shut down, and I was like,
What
what am I going to do?
heck?
Yeah.
And I was that same year looking for trucks to do a mobile hair salon because I thought, because I thought nobody was going back to a salon. Like, this is like back in the day when we were still wiping down our groceries. I was like,
Clorox.
yeah, I was like, nobody's gonna want me in their face ever again.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's gonna want to be in a salon like with other people because I had a little suite with 3 chairs in one room. I'm like, nobody's gonna want to be in the same room together.
Too close quarters.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I'll just get a truck, like a FedEx truck, and make it a whole.
Yeah,
I go to
it's
you moment.
such a fun
Yeah.
idea, and it's been executed a couple times very well, and kudos to those people, but like, it's a lot of work.
Yes, and then I thought about driving it.
Yeah.
And I don't even like driving it.
You have to get like your
myself.
CDL license.
So I was like,
How does like water sources? Although I guess people travel.
it would be a
family
whole thing.
fun.
You'd have to like
Install
yes,
water.
it'd be a whole thing.
It would be definitely
And,
a
like,
lot easier for a waxer because we don't use water.
Right.
Yeah, but like shampoo.
Yeah,
Hair,
very
definitely.
much water.
I think you have to have a bathroom on board.
Oof.
And then the generator, like having the power.
The list goes on and on.
Yeah, we looked into solar. Yeah. But yeah, that was Waxy Taxi. So I got shut down March 18th. I was literally waxing someone, and I went out of my appointment, and I was like, well, I can't rebook you because I don't know when I can open again. And like the state literally threatening my license if I wanted to wax anybody, like this is illegal. Your license will be taken from you. And I was like, what? This is my livelihood. Are you kidding me? So I was actually
That was all
waiting.
a fever dream,
I was
honestly.
waiting tables too at the time, and we did really good with our marketing at that restaurant to
Like COVID
get
friendly.
our to-goes. So our to-goes were like booming, and it was a
Okay.
family-owned business, and God, I loved that job. It was so much fun. But that job saved me throughout COVID because I was shut down for 2 months waxing wise.
Yeah. We were shut down for 2 months too, like the whole, everybody.
Yeah. My brother-in-law and my sister who live here in Texas, they came to visit. My brother-in-law here was like, you should move to Texas because it's warmer year-round. And like the waxing scene would be way better for you. Like the beauty industry, people in Texas like the way they look. You should move to Texas. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And
Here we are.
You made it to Texas.
I made it to Texas. So I started writing the business plan actually like a week after he mentioned that to me for the Bush. Because I was like, waxy taxi doesn't resonate with my soul anymore. I'm not really invested in the mobile. Mm-hmm. So I started the Bush, and that is a whole nother like 6-hour story. Like we don't need to get into that, but we're here.
Yes.
We made it.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah. But okay, so let's get to the meat and potatoes of this.
Yes.
I was gonna say recipe.
Of this recipe.
Of
This
episode.
experience.
Yeah.
Instagram versus reality.
Yes, ma'am.
So, actually, wait.
Yeah.
Should we talk about our whys first? Because your why is, like Whitney said,
The
what you're going to
most
come back
important.
to every time you're having a panic attack at 3 a.m. and just wanting to throw it all down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you find yourself being envious of people who do have the 9 to 5 and get to clock out.
The normal
Man.
people.
Yeah.
I called my best friend a couple weeks
Yes.
ago and I was like, I want to be a normal person. And he was like,
too.
you don't want to be a normal person. You're doing something, Adrian. Go do it.
But
And
for
I was
like a day.
I know.
Right,
Just like one day.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah.
telling me I don't have to wake up with like a weight on
Existential
my
dread.
chest?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My brother was, I was in Florida visiting my brother, and it was like a Wednesday at 10 a.m. and I was going to the beach. And he was like, wow, must be nice to just like do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. And I was like, I didn't even have the time to like
Yeah, get into it with
Snap
them.
back.
explain how totally wrong that was. I was like, it is.
Yeah,
I'm just
it
really
is.
sit.
It's the best.
It is.
the best.
Like, there's
like how we got
totally-
coffee the other day.
Yeah.
Yes, like at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
on a Friday, like
Magical.
we're going to get coffee. Like, of course, that is like perks for sure. But what they don't see is like the 10:30 at night screaming into your pillow, or like
sobbing daily.
yes, or like waking up. Like
That's me. That's my experience. Sorry.
I do sob, but I'm not as big of a crier, but you know.
I've gotten better.
Oh, good. I mean, I think it's good to cry. It's a good release.
I think
It's better to
I
let
think
it
my
out than to
life
hold
has
it in.
gotten better.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
All relative.
My
you know?
therapist is like, so triggers, are they coming up? Like, are you crying? Like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't have any triggers in my life right now.
There is no better therapy session than entrepreneurship.
Right. You
Yep.
said that when we first met you. You
Mhm.
said that.
I live by
and I
it.
was like,
I'm like,
that's iconic.
I should
Get that on the
knit it
shirt.
on a pillow.
Yeah.
I don't knit, but
Yeah.
just, or what is it, like cross
Cross-stitch.
Cross stitch.
Yeah,
Oh,
cross
that's
someone
cute.
cross stitch on a
Yeah.
pillow.
That's cute. Me already thinking the business.
There we
Yes.
go.
Hey,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Funny saying.
Yeah.
I'm down.
One of my clients got me back in Colorado. She cross-stitched me a peach that said "dad ass."
No, it's up
And
in
it's
the
up
room.
in the bush.
Yeah, I love it.
love
I love
that.
that sign.
Yeah, it's from one of my clients.
We should start a cross stitching business and call it Swear Jar, and everything is funny sayings with curse words.
Love it.
There we go.
Love it. In our free time, you know?
Patented. All rights reserved.
Yes. I'll get on the LLC.
There we
now.
go.
What do we need the domain?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay,
Leave
sorry.
that to Instagram.
Our
Or you
whys.
say your why, your
Our
whys.
whys.
Yes, our whys.
So I feel like I don't know, it goes back into like kind of what I was feeling growing up a lot of the times, how I felt like an outcast, and even in the beauty industry, I've kind of felt like nobody really gets me. I don't know, I just feel like I just am outside of this box that they are trying to put me in.
I understand.
Yeah, so walking into a waxing studio, knowing that you are going to take your pants off in 10 minutes in front of this complete stranger, the level of being welcomed needs to be like at a 10, maybe at an 11 on a
Yeah.
1 to 10 scale. You know, you need to walk in and feel at home in order to feel comfortable, and that is my biggest goal. I want everybody that walks into the bush or anywhere in my life, like whether it's this business, my next, or my 10th, I want everybody to feel seen, heard, loved, valued, and these are all things that like me growing up wanted. So
Right.
that's like my why. It's very deep within my soul. And no matter what I do, like within my business coaching, that is what I want. I want all of these new estheticians to feel so heard and so validated. That's my why.
I love that.
I love it.
Thank you.
Mine, I feel like, is honestly very similar. Different flavor, but similar, because I had similar experiences growing up. I have a very great relationship with my family, but I'm the black sheep of the family.
Me
Like,
too.
straight up. And, like, I don't have blue hair right now, but I did for, like, years. Right before I met y'all is when it changed.
I'm so mad I didn't see it in person because I've seen it on Instagram,
It was
and
good.
every time I'm like,
No,
Yeah, I saw it the
It
other
was
day,
good.
actually.
yes, whatever you posted the other day, I was like,
That's so cool.
I mean, I'll come see you in
no,
May.
literally, I was like,
Beth's wedding is May 3rd.
yeah, okay, May
May
5th.
4th.
Yeah.
May the 4th be with blue.
Yes.
Oh my god! Wait, an Instagram post immediately. Get it. Get it
Damn it,
going.
you're gonna be back in town probably, but that's
Maybe,
Fly
though.
over.
Who knows?
Yes.
I mean, hey, we're
Bring your
entrepreneurs. We can...
hairstylist.
yeah.
To the
BYOH.
wedding.
I'm down.
Okay, sorry.
Blue will be coming back. We're not done with that story
Yeah,
yet.
no.
But
Love
the
it.
hairstylist and you will actually cringe a little bit, probably, for what I'm about to say. So brace yourself. But I have just always felt different. I am the black sheep of my family, and I love that, and they love me for it, but, like, I am just different. And I remember having these feelings of just, like, for me, like, my main why centers around 2 words: don't settle. And when I was little, like, I knew I was different, and I knew I wanted to stand out, but I just couldn't figure out how, as, like, a little 6-year-old, an 8-year-old. And my mom even tells me that when I was, like, young, like 6, 7, 8, I would sneak into the pantry, and I would steal Kool-Aid, and I would try to dye my brown hair with red and blue Kool-Aid,
That's
because
so
I
cute.
wanted to
Yeah.
I just wanted to have a different color hair than everyone at school.
Yeah.
And it never worked. Except for the black cherry. It would give me, like, a tent.
Yeah.
But I tried so
Black
hard.
cherry.
That one worked a little bit. But I just always wanted to be different, and I always just wanted to, like, express myself and be myself, and I've always been very creative, whether it be through makeup or painting or any medium. So growing up, the other part of my story is, like, just seeing my dad, who obsessed with, like, love my parents. My dad is a lawyer, and he's been very successful in his career, and he is, like, amazing. However, I remember growing up watching him play on these, like, 3D architecture programs on our computer, and he would just, like, build these houses and, like, create these layouts. And I remember asking my dad when I was younger, I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You aren't an architect. And he was
Aw.
like, well, that's like my dream job. I always wanted to be an architect. But when he was, like, going to school and figuring out what he was going to be and what he was going to do, he, like, my parents had, I don't know the exact, like, timeline of all of this, but, like, my dad finished law school with, like, when my parents had, like, my first 2 siblings.
Okay.
So, like, they were already in their 20s, but he was like, I chose law school because it was the responsible thing to do. I had a family to take care of, and I just knew that it would provide. Which, like, is super respectful and, like, respectable, I mean, and, like, it's amazing. But I just remember in that moment being very sad because I was like, why couldn't you do what you love and make a lot of money?
Yeah.
You know? Which, like, little me didn't understand the world, but, like, I just remember that was a defining thing for me. And I would never want my dad to take that in the wrong way, because I got my work ethic from him, like, watching him and what he did. But I always knew that I was like, no, I want to create a life I'm obsessed with. I don't want to feel like I have to settle. Like, you work at your job for so many hours.
Yeah, it's your
and
life.
it's your life, and I want people to be able to, like, stand out and express themselves and, like, not be afraid to be who they are, even if they are the girl with blue hair and tattoos who lives in South Louisiana and definitely doesn't look like everyone around her. You know? So I was, that is my why. And I do design and, like, branding and web design, which doesn't feel necessarily fully related, but, like, I feel like helping people create a life they love and getting to be a part of your story by helping you create your logo, create your brand messaging, create your website, like,
And
that's
something
it
that
for
stands
me.
out.
Yeah.
And it's something that stands out. We want to make it uniquely you, be different from the rest of the marketplace, and, like, that's it.
I love
Don't
it.
settle.
Don't
And
settle.
be yourself.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
I
you're
love
really
that.
just helping, like, you're fulfilling your destiny by helping other people fulfill theirs.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. And I get to be creative all day.
Yeah, you're expressing yourself, and
Mhm.
their brand gets to express itself.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said earlier, a lot of people come to you and you're like, how did you know that's what I wanted?
Yeah,
Like, you have
like,
a gift, you've got a talent.
I'm good
for
at
it.
reading between the lines with
Yeah.
what people, like, don't say, and kind of, like, looking beyond and being like, you're playing small with thinking that you want this. and kind of going from
They
there.
just need a little risk taker in their life.
Yeah, and like the mindset side of me too likes to dig deep into like, why do you think you need to make that decision?
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about this.
Yeah.
I love mindset work. I think entrepreneurship is like, you can't have it without mindset. You know,
No.
you can't.
No.
You can't
Not
do
well.
it.
Oh no. Especially if you want a team.
Oh my
because-
gosh. They will literally latch onto your insecurities and make them shine so bright, and you gotta fix that shit real quick.
Yes. Yeah. And
Otherwise, they're all gonna leave you.
Yeah.
The way you just like deadpan stared into the ground.
Not that I've ever experienced.
Not from
that.
personal experience.
Literally had a girl walk out of me firing her say to me, I hope you heal whatever is going on with, I hope you figure out whatever shit you've got going on. I can't remember what she said, but
And then threw the key at you.
threw the key at me. It's okay. We all have our things.
We do.
We've all got shit, but that doesn't mean you get to throw it on other people.
Yeah.
We're not monkeys.
No.
I love monkeys.
Yeah.
What is your why, Wit?
So my why is, I mean, the reason I started the team and started the business was really because I felt like it could be done better, and I wanted to like prove that to the world. I'm like, no. There's too many bad things, especially with like the legacy system of the beauty industry, how it's so dog eat dog world, competitive versus community. Like there wasn't, so I was like, we got to show people that we can do it better. Like I remember one of my bosses telling me that if you have a pot of boiling water and you put a bunch of male lobsters in the pot, that they will form a ladder and get everybody out of the pot. But if you put if you put female lobsters in the pot of boiling water, they will all claw at each other and they'll all die.
Dark.
Yeah. And so that's just was explained to me of like, that's just how women work.
Wow.
And women.
It's really graphic.
Yeah, and like
It gets the point across.
that like women can't like, you know, work well together and support each other. And I was like, no, I'm not accepting that.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
I think
gonna show you.
yeah,
that it can
I
be
think
done.
we can. Like I think we can do it. And like I want to spearhead that, and then just like fixing a lot of like I think a natural like problem solver, and like so I want to like fix a lot of the things where I'm like, that's not right. Like we could have a better guest experience, we could have a better stylist experience in a salon. But truly it was like that first ding 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 moment for me where I was like, oh shit, there's so many people that are telling people not to go to hair school, and I'm making a shitload of money at 21 years old. Like that was like I have to tell everybody about this. Like I want other people to also see that they can use this industry to make life-changing capital for themselves. Like because I was able to make good money, I was able to invest in houses and invest in the stock market and like I was able to do those things that like have set me up. So it's like I want to show that way to other people and like just use what I've learned to like help the next generation to like do the same.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. You know what? Like, to change the beauty industry is a huge, audacious goal. But 2 generations ago, I can't remember the exact statistics, but it was like over 50% of Americans were growing their own food. Today, 2 generations later, 2%.
I believe that fully.
I mean, that's like crazy. So 2 generations is all it took to totally fall out of line with human nature, really. Thanks, technology.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it can be done. I think changing the industry, changing the way people feel about the industry, and like making a fucking wave, like not just a ripple.
Yeah.
Like
A
for
tsunami.
sure.
Yeah. And I'm just like not gonna stop until
No, I
until
definitely
we-
know that. My goal when I started, probably Waxy Taxi, this was more so my goal because I was like very delusional and I had never owned a business before. But I was like, I'm going to take European Wax Center down. And now I think about it and I'm like, maybe I actually am. Maybe I'm going to hire people, teach them how to run a business, send them out on their way, and all of these independent estheticians will take down the big guy.
Yeah. or make their own salons where,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, because there is one big guy,
And it's not a cool place to work, and it's
No.
not a cool place to get waxed.
No.
It's just, it is the industry standard, and it's not a very high, bar that we are.
Yeah.
I worked there for like 3 years in college.
I'm so sorry.
No.
I'm probably
No.
shitting on it.
No, I'm like, I know it personally.
I've
Everything
never-
you're saying is accurate. I'm like,
I've never stepped foot into a European wax center. I've never experienced it.
Oh, that was my first waxing
I
experience.
mean, I will say it was a bomb college job. Bonuses were lit.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh my god, yeah. But this natural salesman in me, which I guess, like, again, universe was like,
Yeah.
you can do this.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
sell
good
it.
at this.
I worked front desk. I never waxed people, obviously.
Yeah.
But so I
Yeah.
everything you're saying is
I mean, it's just like the man. It's just like anything.
Yeah.
Like Walmart, Target, you know.
Yeah.
KFC came to my mind. I don't know why KFC came to my mind, but if you want
The
to do
man.
fried chicken, do fried chicken.
Yes.
Take that to KFC.
Yeah.
honestly though.
So maybe, like that ripple can really cause a huge wave and
Yes.
make change.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm so excited for it to unravel. We also haven't gotten to Instagram versus reality
okay.
at all.
No.
Okay. What's
This
been
might
your
be a two-parter.
maybe?
Or if you're still with us.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. I think I'm gonna, let's cut it right now. So yeah, let's say bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Beauty in the Bush. I love and adore you guys so much. I hope you loved this episode as much as I loved creating it. Feel free to leave me a review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And you can even subscribe to my YouTube channel where we have the live version of these podcast episodes if that floats your boat. Make sure you're following over on Instagram at _STpreneur for all the behind the scenes within my 6-figure brick and mortar beauty business, as well as my online coaching business for beauty professionals. I look forward to connecting with you there, and I will talk to you in next week's episode. Bye.